it might warrant, a topic of its own. But I'm gonna mention it
Oh.
because we were talking about the future of gaming,
Hmm.
and a lot of gamers have this sort of, I don't know, they think that games should be like liberated from common economical sense. They want this whole games are art movement to be the toughest one, the strongest one. Games should only be created for art. But look at the insane amount of people who develop games today. If everybody was just trying to make artsy games, nobody would get paid, and the game industry would crash again. So that's sort of the game industry is becoming more of a industrialized. You're making a product. You're not making art. You're not making. You're making something for the people that people should enjoy. So, you can't just think about what you want to create anymore because that's how it used to be in games. There were five guys in a basement and they were like, "Yeah, let's create this game. We really like this sort of game, so we're gonna make the perfect game for us." And
Yeah.
back in the days, that was okay because that's how many of the companies that today is huge got started. But you can't really think like that anymore because the market is a lot bigger. The cost of making a game is astronomical now. And there's investments, people need to get paid, and so I really want gamers to stop talking about games like you owe it to us to like only make these games because these games are the best. But you can't really think like that anymore because movies have been there, music have been there, and so books have been there. I mean, there's so much crap now. Everything is industrialized. Personally, I think it's for the better, but that might just be me talking because I am a aspiring game designer. So
And you want to make that money.
yeah, I mean, I don't just want to make games for money. I mean, you don't spend 3 years learning to program and game design, fundamental game designs, just because you want to make money. Because there are a lot easier ways to make money than this.
Well, no, man. That's what I'm saying though. Is you have to go to college for this.
Yeah,
You have to put, like even companies that have huge production teams, it takes them, a years to make a game.
it depends, of course, but
And I mean, you can't do that stuff for free.
no,
You have to be paid while you're doing it, and then the company has to make their money back on paying you. So
exactly. It's but a lot of gamers haven't really grown out of that yet. I think we're moving away from the whole we're entitled to only the best games, so listen to us. I mean, you should put companies under a lot of stress. You shouldn't buy shit, of course not. But I mean, at some point, you just have to admit that these people need to get fed. They need to feed their hungry, their children, their families if they have them. They need to feed themselves. They need to have clothes on their backs, and a lot of people don't really. They expect game designers to make this sacrifice of living as a hermit,
yeah,
having no money and eating only noodles.
while they suffer for their art.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to suffer a little bit. I mean, I was ready to eat noodles for 3 years just to learn the profession. To get good at programming and so forth. Make the connections. I was ready to suffer for that, but I can't suffer my entire life. And the horrible truth of game design today is that most people don't really make a lot of money. It's just a job for a lot of people.
Hmm.
Or not just a job. Game designers do it because they love games, but at some point, you get paid for a job. You have to admit that that's how it works. Game designers or gamers who pretend to think it works any other way are fooling themselves.
Hmm. It's
Um,
I mean, yeah, it's a business like any other.
yeah,
And back in the olden days, like you were talking about, it was like frictional games did it, where there was five guys.
yeah, and
You
they
know,
created a tech demo.
yeah.
And like we have this belief that this game will be good. They did it for free. They didn't get any money from it. They
Well, they're getting
basically
money
just
now.
they're getting money now, but back when they did Penumbra, the first game, or at least the first demo of it, they basically just did it on their own time, and they uploaded it. And when the tech demo itself had started to download, like I think they had like 300,000 downloads. They went to a publisher and said, look, this is the tech demo. This is how much it has been downloaded. this is how this is our game, and give us a funding, and we'll make a game out of this that will sell just as much as this, but probably more.
Yeah. Well,
You
see
know,
that. Yeah, I think that can get us to like a future of gaming kind of situation here. What we're talking about, because I think what people were lamenting really was that it seemed like crap games were getting released because the business end was interfering with the game making process.
Yeah.
I have an issue with that. Like I know like a game can be perfectly what I want because they have to make it where other people
No,
want to
but
play it too.
a shit game is still a shit game, and it should be
Yeah.
punished for it, of course.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people get mad whenever there's a game that should be good, but then you hear about higher ups forcing deadlines, cutting funding, crap like that, and then the game ends up sucking because of the business end meddling with the creation process.
I mean, that's horrible. I wish it didn't happen, but I mean, it's the unfortunate truth that it has to work that way because a lot of money is involved. What I think, like the new MMORPG from BioWare, The Old Republic, what did it cost, like $300 million to make?
Well, they've been making it for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge amounts of money, and of course, people who are involved in this and have invested money, they're gonna want their money back. I mean, BioWare, okay, sure, it's Star Wars and it's BioWare, so it's a pretty sure bet. They're gonna make that money back like that fast. But I mean, still, it's a large amount of money, and time is spent on it, and at some point, somebody has to say stop. You've been making this game for 4 years now, and you're barely past the tutorial.
Yeah.
You can't. You have to either start showing progress, or we're gonna cut your funding.
Yeah. Well, see, but I think that's something that we might see more of the future. What happened to Penumbra?
Yeah.
No, it's happened to Penumbra. It happened to the guys who made Portal.
Yeah, and it happened to Braid. I mean,
Yeah.
Braid is completely. I mean, it was an indie game that made it large.
Oh yeah, I think with the internet getting big and everything like that, and everyone starting to use it more, and it seems like gamers are going out trying to find indie games more often now.
Yeah, at least I don't know if they try to find them, but their indie games are creeping into the mainstream because people are hungry for it. They want it, and exactly, it's going to work that way. And and the fun thing is that people don't really realize is that the indie developers are going to become regular mainstream developers. And in 20 years, we're going to have the exact same situation where indie developers are starting to creep into the mainstream market. It's sort of a circular motion. It's sort of, it repeats itself. It happened before, low-end budgets and, smaller companies suddenly make it big. And, it's going to happen again.
Yeah, but I think, I don't know, I think with the internet, it makes it easier for the guys who have nothing but, like their computer and a dream.
Yeah.
To have their game that's a work of love end up being
absolutely.
made mainstream.
And I think that's sort of the goal where a lot of game company or game developers want to be, or game designers. That's sort of, you always have this one game that you're just kind of nurturing inside you. Like, yeah, I want to make this game one day. And then you get out of school, you don't have a job. You don't get a job in the game industry anyway. So you sort of start tinkering on this, and one day you're gonna make it big, hopefully. That's sort of what you have to look forward to.
So I think I hope that starts to get more and more popular, where you have these big game companies, and what they do basically is they find these small group of guys who are making their game that they're just making because they love it.
Yeah.
And then they just basically go in and buy the game and then sell it to the mainstream audience. So
I hope so.
So then you've got the big mainstream companies making sure they supply people with these good games, and then people can stop complaining that the game making process is this heartless churn out code, pump the game out, stamp it, and sell it to the poor saps who don't realize it suck.
But that's sort of unavoidable as well because we demand these AAA titles, so it's sort of unavoidable that this soulless corporation kind of comes into the picture. But I also
well,
think
yeah.
it's funny that you said gamers would stop complaining because I never think that is going to happen.
Well, maybe a little bit. I meant
Nah.
a little bit less.
A
They'll
little bit
complain
less.
a little
Okay, yeah, I
less.
can go with that. That's acceptable.
Because yeah, I think that's what's going to. At least I hope that's where the future's going to be going, to where more of these indie
Yeah.
developers start to get noticed.
Yeah,
Because
I think we can count on that sort of because that's the way the market is sort of geared. Portal, Braid, Penumbra, games like this, that's sort of it's gonna start happening a lot more because now the game industry is realizing that there are diamonds there. It's just
yeah.
diamonds in the rough. So
Well, and plus, I mean, it's the for the big corporations, that's their wet dream. A game they have to put nothing into at all, and they just put it out in the market, and then it starts selling a lot. Like they have
yeah,
to
and then
pay they have to pay the developers, of course,
yeah,
but
but I mean, then they sort of usually buy the rights to the sequels, and they have a franchise there. If one game goes well, then at least another game is gonna sell well. So it's definitely gonna happen that way. I think.
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I mean, like the game companies love it because they're not really out anything. Like they have to find this indie game and tell the guy like, hey, we'll pay you a percentage of the sales. So if
Yeah.
it doesn't do well, they're out nothing, and if it does well, then they're swimming in money too. So whatever.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really good situation in the future. Hopefully, anyway. But the game industry has tricked us before, so yeah, I don't know.
That wily game company always tricks in
Yeah,
us.
they're going to go to the Acme company and start buying traps and stuff. But anyway, I think we're starting to run out of time here.
Yeah, I think I think I
was
said
just
all I
gonna
want to say.
say, if you want us to talk about the future of gaming a lot more, because it's a topic that can be talked about a lot, comment, say it. We'll maybe not next week. I don't know what topic we're gonna discuss next time, but we're definitely interested in talking about it a lot more. I think.
Oh yeah, I think we brought up like six or seven topics in this that we could talk about a lot more.
Yeah, probably. We have a lot of indie things to talk about as well. But anyway, I think that's going to be the end of this episode. Do we have anything else to add?
No.
Comments, questions, criticism, praise. We love it. We love comments. We live and breathe comments. So give us more comments.
Well, he's speaking for himself. If you post anything negative about me, I'm gonna ban you.
Ignore you. You're not gonna be able to watch his videos anymore. And maybe that's not such a bad thing.
That's right, because apparently you're a jerk.
I'm totally a jerk.
No, the person I'm banning, because they said bad
Oh,
things
okay,
about me.
yeah. If you say negative things about Chiron, you're definitely an asshole. So
That's
no
right.
big loss. But if you say negative things about me, you're gonna die. I'm not
No.
a psychopath, I swear.
No, but but seriously, if you want to say negative things about him, I will allow it.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy that you allowed that. You're gonna die in your sleep.
What?
No.
No.
Luckily, you're on the other side of the ocean, so you don't have to worry too much.
You don't know where I live.
Sort of. I'll scour the earth for you. Yeah, my vengeance is burning hot.
Sadly, I'm afraid of that now. I'm gonna have to. Yeah, you've got me worried now with all your talk about
Don't
ripping
worry,
people's
I have
heads off.
Splatterhouse, so I take out all my aggressions from that.
That's what worries me. You talk way too enthusiastically about the stuff you do in that game.
But it's a good game. Come on, man. You have to try it, man. You gotta try it, man. It's awesome, man.
Well, when I get my PS3 on Christmas, I will.
You're
Go
definitely
give it a
gonna
shot.
buy it, and then I'm gonna, instruct you on how to kill people effectively.
I mean,
You're
train
my
to
young
murder
Padawan.
people. I mean, to murder people by you. That's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Anyway, I don't think we're gonna incriminate ourselves anymore now.
No, I think we've had enough. We gave it-
don't call the police, please.
Yeah,
I'm
that
only
would just go.
joking, I swear.
That would just go, unfortunately, for you in the end.
No. I can sense it in you too.
Because once we get out of prison, we'll find
Yeah.
you. No. Anyway, I think that's it.
Yeah, I guess we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Yep. Guys,
Bye.
next time.